Yeah, guys, thank you so much for connecting to our collective calls. We hold them every Tuesday and Thursday. Yeah. So as always, we are the hosts of such meetings, Ivan and Malika, and we got three amazing projects today to pitch here, to share their deck and then answer the Q&A. So you know the drill. Let me introduce them real quick. So first of all, we got Sarah representing a project called Pepler Lee Events. Then Savant, he is a co-founder at Kaiko. And last but not least, Said representing project called Shiza. So thank you so much, guys, for making it here. It's a pleasure having you all here. So let me brief you through the rules, how we usually call such calls. So a speaker has 5 minutes for the pitch part and 10 minutes for the Q&A section. So for your convenience, we'll add a timer to keep track of time. And the viewers, if you have any questions, just feel free to leave them in the chat or raise your hand. And yeah, thank you so much for connecting. Be sure to check your camera settings, screen sharing settings, etc. So let's start. And first, let's start with Sarah. So Sarah, thank you so much for connecting. Passing the mic to you.
Thank you for the intro. Hi, everybody. Lovely to meet you all. My name's Sarah Mullen. I'm from Pepler Lee Events, and we're a full service marketing and events agency. I've got a whole deck to share with you. But in short, we provide the full selection of marketing and events, including conferences, private meetings, incentives, anything you can think of. We do a lot of work at World Economic Forum, at COP, at all of the events that happen globally in relation to sustainability and cybersecurity and everything really. So I'll just pop the deck up so that you've got something to look at don't have to just look at me the whole time. We are a global company, as I mentioned. We have a base in the UK and in Switzerland and in North America, but we operate globally. So depending upon where you are, we either travel or we have people there. So it's not an issue. We're IATA registered, which is obviously for hotels and venues, so we can get you better deals than you going direct yourself. We have a specialist division that we work for Davos in WEF. For those of you that are familiar with it, you'll know what it is. And if you aren't, then lucky you. Our full selection, as I mentioned in the intro, includes marketing, conferences, incentives, team building. We have in-house design for exhibitions and production, pretty much everything that you could need. This is an example of some exhibition marketing we did for a UK-based pharma company. They do I can't think what they're called. They basically prove that something is completely 100% sanitary clean for drug testing and that kind of thing. We redesigned their branding and arranged all of their exhibitions for them and all of their travel and logistics for a whole year. We've done a variety of incentives around the world, if that's something that's of interest, as well as conferences. This is in Geneva every year, the World Health Organization conference. We've put on a conference for a media company 2 years running. They're not going this year. They like to go and host a conference for some of their clients and partners. And they also do a lot of interviews during that, and they film them and then issue them online. This is for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It was in Paris last year. They took over a UNESCO heritage building, and we took it from a horrible, what looked almost like a plain concrete car park, to this beautifully lit and produced venue for them to have a gala dinner, full on stage, lighting. They brought their own dancers. This was a product launch we did in Italy in the middle of the countryside. We had to put up a marquee in the middle of nowhere, completely decorate it, all the catering. It was around a golf tournament for a hotel that's going to launch there next year. These we do quite often. We do them mainly around Europe and North America at the moment. It's a curated client dinner event. It's targeted, so our client give us a target list of who they want to come to the dinner. We then sort that out and we do a research paper around whatever the topic's going to be, and we host them. We did one a couple of weeks ago in Copenhagen, we've done Zurich, we do Berlin, we do London, we do New York. So we can do these anywhere. In fact, the next one is looking to be Stockholm. We do quite a lot of team building, whether this is a tack on to conferences or it's just a standalone, someone wants to go and do an off-site team building. With a lot of hybrid workers now, it seems to be getting ever so popular. This was a make your own mosaic in teams and group paella making. So this was in Barcelona, so it was a great one. We can do full-on delegate housing. This was a cybersecurity summit for around 2,000 packs in The Hague. So we sorted everything here, from the registrations to the badges to the logistics to the housing to everything. This is actually one in WEF. This is a charity. This is their launch. And we turned a shop into a pavilion. We do that quite a lot in WEF. The whole end of our proposal is all about WEF. I don't know whether we want to check if anyone is interested in it, because if they're not, then we might not want to go through it. I'll carry on anyway. So at WEF, we do from accommodation to transport, catering, staffing, branding. We build pavilions for companies. This year we did Oman, which was their first time at WEF, so they took over a hotel. It was branded. They housed everybody. Oh, I'm getting stop share, but I'll quickly show you. We also did Fujitsu this year, and also a CNBC private dining room and Bahrain. These were all just normal shops that we turn into venues. So yeah, that's my presentation. I'm getting a warning to stop, so I will.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on time.
That's okay.
Yeah, now to Q&A. Guys, feel free to leave all your questions in the chat. I've already received one, so let me read that real quick. So yeah, it says, first of all, full package, then epic pitch. You've organized a Guinness World record-setting events. What's the craziest idea that turned into a reality for you, and how did you all come together?
It all came together because one of the owners worked with Fujitsu, and they came up with this idea of creating a huge tablet, a huge interactive screen. And so we used, at the time, Fujitsu tablets and each of the guests came and put their tablet on the wall. So it's very interactive. And then everybody was involved in building the world record. And that was, very impressive. It's on our website. Okay. But it came together because it was one of the directors here's idea. I have no idea how they came up with it. And they just managed to put it into action by using the Fujitsu technology as well, which was obviously a bonus. And that's how that worked.
Okay, thank you so much for taking care of the first question. We got another one. With your expertise in global conferences, what's the most unique venue you've used for an event? And how did it elevate the overall experience for attendees?
Well, it's hard to pick one, but I would say that doing a pavilion, a marquee on the beach in Egypt for COP a couple of years ago has been one of the most amazing looking ones, to turn just a patch of sand into a full-on venue for a gala dinner, similar to where we did it in the golf club, the golf tournament in Italy. But this was obviously on Egypt in the beach, and it was quite a little distance from where the hotel was to walk to get to the beach. It just looked beautiful. And so people weren't expecting it. They thought they were coming to an event at a hotel, and then they walked through the hotel and through the back. So it was an amazing surprise for the guests, because they weren't told it was a surprise. So they weren't expecting to be sitting essentially almost in the sea having their dinner.
Oh, sounds super nice. We got another one. What's one of the biggest challenges you faced when orchestrating large-scale events across different time zones and cultures, and how did you overcome it?
I think in terms of cultures, one of the most challenging has been dealing with Saudi and Oman, because obviously we're in the UK, and they have quite a lot of different traditions and values than we do. So we just try to be really sensitive to how they feel and how they need to interact, and work out what's important to them in advance so that no one gets offended and that everybody's comfortable, especially when it comes to things like food and beverage. Obviously it was alcohol-free venues, which is fine, but it's making sure that everybody is aware and realizes what needs to happen so that nobody has to feel awkward. And in terms of time zone, we have done some online events, which we've generally been quite lucky. So in terms of, I think Tokyo is one of the more challenging ones. So for their evening, it's our really early morning. So it's just making sure that when you need to deal with two time zones at the same time, it works. But we're quite flexible in terms of working times, so we've never really had a problem.
Okay, right on. Another one. Have you done much work for blockchain Web3 companies or had events with the crypto conference circuits? Amazing work with the WEF pavilions, by the way. I had the chance to go last year, and I'm sure I must have seen some of your work. Yeah.
Were you there this year, the person, or as in 2025? Or do you mean you were there 2024?
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, it was 2024. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, we did a lot of work there in 2024 as well. We tend to do Fujitsu every year. So if you've noticed that, that's always going to be us. We have done some work with crypto conference circuits. There was one at Davos in the Schatzalp Out Hotel, which is a whole complicated, you have to go up this funicular to get there. You can't get there any other way. You can't drive there. You can't walk there. You have to go up this little funicular thing up the cliff. And we work with another company that are global, helping with their conferences already. So yeah, we do have some experience with that.
Okay, thank you so much. Guys, we still have time for maybe a last question. Feel free to leave them in the chat or raise your hand. Besides, we always post the contact details of our speakers, so be sure to check it out in the chat just by scrolling up. You can find the handle, email, so it's all there. And yeah, thank you so much for paying attention to that.
Well, I think we've done any more questions?
So yeah, another question, by the way, Philip asks, do you need anything?
Do I need anything?
Yeah.
I don't know what you do, Philip.
Maybe he's asking for some help, or maybe...
Oh, well, if anybody needs me, contact me afterwards. I think my email is going to be released. Do I put it in there or do you put it in there?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thank you so much, Sarah, for your presentation. It was really interesting to hear you out. We were moving on. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, guys. So we got two more speakers. So let's proceed with Kaiko then. So Savant, thank you so much for connecting. Please step in.
Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate it for giving me the chance to talk about our company. And yeah, thank you, Sarah, for the amazing presentation as well. So yeah, I'll jump right into it. I'll get the deck up so that you can take a look through. Apologies for not having the video working either. But yeah, so to give you a little bit of background, yes, my name is Jay, also go as the pseudonym as Savant. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Kaiko, and what we are doing is building the EQ infrastructure layer for AI agents. So we're looking at powering emotional intelligence in agents and making agent to human interaction more palatable and also just a better experience. So our whole vision is, making AI more human, which is not something that most people in our field are really looking at, right? They're looking at super intelligence or how to make agents as capable and as smart as possible. What we believe as a company is that part of that intelligence matrix comes from EQ, right? It's a critical part of how we interpret the world. It's a critical part of how we interact with one another. And if AI and AI agents don't have that ability to, create meaningful experiences with EQ reasoning, then there's a massive part of that intelligence that's missing. So that's basically what we're aiming to do is enable AI agents to process and understand the world that they're going to be, a part of with that additional layer of reasoning. Why now is pretty apparent, right? I think everyone's quite aware of the scale and the scope of AI and its impact on the world at the moment. I think the agent sector specifically is going to go through some absolutely expansive growth over the next 5 years. We're looking at around about a $216 billion market by 2035, which could actually be higher as well. And I think the amount of agents that are out there, that we're interacting with online is going to grow exponentially over the next few years. The problem that we see in the market right now, and this has come from my own personal experience of using agents, I think when you're looking at, using AI tools, whether it be Cursor for development, whether it be ChatGPT, or, you're using these as extensions of just tools and services, then they're pretty purpose fit, right? They fit the mark. But when we're looking at agents, not just as logic machines, but as, I guess, online identities that we're having to interact with on a daily basis. And when we start to look at, quite expansive fields such as healthcare, media and entertainment, customer service, right, there is a definite demand and need for there to be a better UX when it comes to agent to human interaction. We expect there to be over 1.5 billion plus online agents by 2030, and the average agent interactions per month to be in the trillions, right? 2.5 trillion by 2030. The lost revenue potential for companies from that UX not being as seamless and as smooth as possible is in hundreds of billions. Okay, it's 300 billion annual lost revenue. Our solution is to make the AI agents capable of EQ reasoning, as we mentioned. So we have two systems that do that, which I can go into a little bit more detail a little bit further down in the deck. But essentially, we give the agents the ability to reason and use emotional intelligence to basically do semantic analysis on conversations, to be able to extract facts and data from the conversation, and to have a much more robust long-term memory system. Because one of the most important things of building a relationship is having that ability and context to understand, how your interactions have been with that individual in the past as well as in the present. So yeah, the more technical side of how this works, I will try to not go too in detail, but essentially we have the message system, right, where you can communicate with any agent. We're building this as essentially an API SDK layer, so it should be integrated with any agent framework or any agent stack out there. And what happens is we basically extract certain elements from the conversation. It gets pushed through an algorithm where we basically determine the semantic analysis, we create the facts, and then we store those in a relational database. So there's vector points where you could have, multiple emotional states that are stored in long-term memory. And we also have a graph database as part of that as well. And basically we attach memories with an emotional semantic analysis on top of it as well. And then that goes through a secondary set of algorithms essentially that we've created that are proprietary, that evolves the agent's personality and the way that it dynamically communicates and adapts to your personal experience. So that response gets processed, and then the LLM is embedded with an emotional reasoning and dynamic response. So yeah, that's it, very sort of in a nutshell, high level, but could definitely go into more detail if there's any questions at the end. In terms of proof of execution, we've spoken a little bit about some of the use cases where this could be very, very interesting. I think, healthcare is a massive one, especially when it comes to mental health, when you're looking at, things like autism and Asperger's, where it's actually quite challenging for these people to be able to understand emotional context in conversations, to be able to have an agent where you can essentially outsource some of that and, check, how is this conversation going? Did the person I speak to react positively to this? Did they react negatively is pretty huge. But I think for us, where we have a strong background is in IP. So we've already done $25 million worth of IP activations. And yeah, we are looking to see how we can bring sort of, I guess, IP to life through this agentic experience as well. And I know I've gone a little bit over, so I'll just skip through this very quickly. In terms of proof of demand, we're working with a lot of IP brands. We're in discussions with Sega, and there's many, many others. In terms of the use cases, we kind of discussed healthcare, IP, gaming, education, the things that we're looking at. And then, yeah, in terms of what we're currently looking for, we're seeking 1.45 million for marketing growth and product iteration. We've got current commits of about 950,000. We've raised 150,000, and we've got some amazing partners and backers already. But yeah, I will leave it there.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for the pitch. Everyone, if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand or put your question here in the chat. Maybe while we are waiting, you can walk us through your business model.
Yes, sure. So in terms of the way that this company is structured, we have our infrastructure layer, which is predominantly for other builders, right? So it's giving them the rails to implement our technology in any agent framework. So through an API or an SDK, you can build your own sort of EQ enabled agents. On top of that, we have a platform layer where we're actually as a business building our own tools. So we have a terminal where you can interact with one of these agents. We're also building a studio where we do a lot of IP content production, AI creation pipelines for businesses as well. And then the final sort of phase of this is the product layer. So we're working in direct collaboration with brands, IP holders. We're looking at doing some case studies with some healthcare companies and health tech companies to roll out this infrastructure as sort of a B2B to C system as well.
Okay, thank you so much. We've got some questions. What's your biggest obstacle right now?
The biggest obstacle right now for us is probably in just, I would say, the memory side of this, right? It's a problem that the whole AI industry is facing, but being able to build relational databases and memories that are meaningful, right? And being able to embed that into a response and get as close to the emulation of, EQ as possible. but it's an exciting problem to have.
Yeah, thanks. Another one, with your integration of AI in content creation and storytelling, how do you see these emotionally intelligent agents reshaping traditional IP creation in the media industry?
So where we're positioned at the moment, and we've had a lot of discussions with some major IP holders, the likes of Banijay, we've worked with Universal, Warner, where we see this really having a massive impact is bringing characters to life and enabling audiences to have direct, relationships with characters from their favorite shows, from their favorite media and films, and also being able to automate a lot of the, press circuits, right? And being able to have these digital interactive experiences that bring audiences closer to the IP and the IP universes that these characters live in. So we're working on a proof of concept at the moment with an Eastern IP. So it's an anime show, and we're basically enabling people to communicate and interact with the main character of the show as like a fan wiki. So instead of going to a website where you get all of the details on the show, who's in it, like the relationships, what's the world like, you can just directly interact with the main character of that show and unlock all of the information from that universe.
Thanks. The concept of turning on-chain actions into dynamic stories is unique. How do you plan to keep these evolving narratives engaging and meaningful for users in the long run?
I think for us, and the on-chain side of it is like enabling people and communities to be a part of that IP, right? So what we're trying to create is something called live IP. So essentially your interaction with these characters, obviously when we're working with the big brands, the major IPs out there, it's very, very difficult to get them to break the fourth wall, essentially. But I think when we're looking at new IPs, new creations that are coming out, and we look at the future of where this stuff is going, I think we're going to see interactive, dynamic IP that evolves through the audience's interaction with it, as opposed to it being static or just one way. I think the line between creator and audience is going to blur very, very closely into sort of one thing.
Thanks. How are you exactly building enabling EQ from a pure technical standpoint?
So it's algorithmic. So what we do is we use open source models, and then we've built our own proprietary algorithms essentially on top of that enable sentiment analysis through text and through messages. The next stage for us is to do that through voice and audio conversations, tonality, things like that. But we basically run this through our system that uses, core concepts from behavioral psychology, from symbolic interactionism, from sociology. We took all of the scientific research from how humans behave and how humans interact and codify that into rules and systems that can be, utilized by the AI to basically understand the highest likely context or, emotional state of the individual that they're communicating with. That's kind of the first part. The second stage is like, how do you store that in a way that the AI can use it in a way that's beneficial to the end user? So a lot of that is about memory and how that memory is structured. And then it's about, taking those memories and embedding them into future discussions, future conversations and interactions with the end user so that, there's a more fluid and dynamic conversation flow and it feels much more natural than opposed to using a tool.
Okay, thanks. Another one goes like this. Which show do you have links? I guess it's regarding the show you mentioned before? Yeah,
so it's actually in the deck. So we're sort of early stages of development and final stages of commercial sort of structuring of this. But yeah, we have access to Defected Records, which is a record label. They own, I think, 16 sub-labels underneath them. They have 66,000 music IPs that we're looking to leverage. We're also working with ReZero, which is the proof of concept that we discussed. And we have access to, Street Fighter, the entire Sega IP catalog, and we've worked very closely with Banijay brands in the past as well. So looking at, what sort of IPs this would make sense for.
Thanks. Hope it answers the question. And another one, where are you on your product roadmap? Also, any details on the team background?
Yeah, so product roadmap, we are about to launch our private beta. So we're sort of final stages of MVP, just doing some sort of touch-ups, and then that should be live within the next week or so. So there will be like an email subscribe waitlist to get access to that. And then in terms of team background, so yeah, we have an extended team of about 8 core members and an advisory board of around 10. Myself, I've been in the space since 2012 in blockchain and IP as well. And yeah, have done everything from sort of government research projects, built out entire blockchain infrastructure for the UAE government. And yeah, actually last cycle around 2021, we built an IP company that was specifically focused on bringing Web2 traditional IPs into Web3 and helping them with their entire activation strategies and roadmaps. So yeah, that's where the 25 million in existing IP brand activations comes from.
Thanks. And another one, is there a Web3 component to this business? Are you in touch with Story Protocol?
Yes, yeah. So we've had early stage discussions with Story Protocol, just working out the best ways to work with them. But absolutely, in terms of like IP rights management, having this IP on chain, it makes perfect sense for us.
Okay, let's make it the last question. On the fundraising side, are you expecting to finalize in leads soon?
Yeah, so we're in the process of trying to find strategic investors. As we said, we've got 950,000 in commits. A lot of that is on the public side. So we're already working with Seedify, we're working with Borgpad and Swissborg, and we're working with a few others. But right now it's about trying to find, strategic capital that can obviously help us scale faster, but also has the experience and the knowledge to kind of help us grow as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your questions. Just reminding you that if you want to connect with Savant after the call, here in the chat you can find all his contact details. And yeah, let's proceed with the third project.
All right, well, thanks. And by the way, Savant, great job. Very interesting project, and I think, as you'll see, I think there's ample opportunity here for us to have a follow-up discussion as well. So we should have that as a sidebar conversation and connect afterwards. But so my background, thanks again, Malika and Ivan and everyone for having us present here. My name is Saeed Hussein. I'm the founder and CEO of Shared Human Intellect Zonal Agents, or Shiza.ai. My background is I come from the capital markets, deep data and analytics, as well as a big data experience. Ex-GE, I used to be with GE Corporate and Credit Suisse. I used to be the head of data and analytics for Neuberger Berman, which used to be the asset management division of Lehman Brothers. So when in post-Lehman collapse, helped them split off, then left to go launch a company focusing on geospatial analytics, data visualization, and artificial intelligence. And then got attracted to the world of Web3 as a cynic of Bitcoin, only to fall in love with the concept of decentralized assets. And that's really where one of the things we were looking to build out was a due diligence analyst. But what I realized very, very quickly was that the barriers to entry to build out these agentic solutions was so low that there's going to be a mass proliferation of these agentic agents coming in. So rather than focus on these agentic solutions, which will end up getting commoditized very, very quickly, let's start to think about what does a post-agentic world look like. So after the Kaikos of the world and whatnot, right, you have all of these agents, and you're absolutely right. Someone touched upon that earlier, right? There's going to be billions of these agents that are going to be coming in. What is that going to lead to? What that's going to lead to is the automation of tasks, which will ultimately lead to the automation of processes, eventually leading to the automation of jobs. So every single thing that all of these us today as humans are doing, we're doubling down on it, and we're not shy to say that this is an inevitability that will absolutely happen. So when that happens, the labor itself, right? How do we start thinking about what a post-labor economy looks like? In that instance, taking the labor that will get replaced by these agents, ensuring that once that does get replaced, you own those very same agents that are being created, not a centralized OpenAI, a Gemini through Google or Anthropic, right? Not any of these centralized solutions, but something that you own, you control, something which is novelly yours. How do we do that? The way that we do that is you need to ensure that these agents, they will have the ability to be able to replicate the laborious component of it. But the one part that they will not be able to replicate, and which will be the crucial component that's going to be needed and is going to have the most value, is the novel human experience. Agents will constantly need that to be able to build out new data sets, to be able to pull those in from. So if you can do that, then the ability to be able to capture the human experience, own that human experience and monetize on that human experience is essentially going to be the value of the most important asset, which is what it is that we're building out with Shiza. So within there, what we have is we have our companion, the developer that will allow you to capture that. Imagine this conversation we're in right now, right? We have our Reed, our Fireflies, our Otters of the world that are intaking and capturing all of our notes, but those are owned by others. Those are owned by these centralized entities. Imagine your own, not a large language model, but your own individualized language model in which all of your personal experiences are captured. And if someone wants access to that, then they will have to subscribe to that by getting permission to access from you to be able to do so. So laying out that infrastructure, ensuring that this future, what we call this post-agentic world, in which you are the ones that are in control of your agents. That's why at Shiza, our slogan is own your AI before AI owns you. So, and at a very, very high level, these are the components that we're building in, and then I'll talk a little bit about so far our progress and what we've done as well. We're already post revenue. We came out of stealth mode in December of last year, so only a few months ago. Within a month, we were post revenue. Now we're continuing to scale and grow, and we have Shiza is an overall ecosystem. As a part of that ecosystem, the first product of ours, which is the Shiza developer, which is what we were referring to over here, that's ready to go. Companion currently is in prototype, followed by the ILM, and then the eventual CAS marketplace, or this intellect exchange. So what we're building out for is in preparation for this future economy in which the human, we're going to shift away from being a labor-driven economy into an intellect-driven economy in which all of these agents of ours are going to be capturing information from us and being able to interact with one another. But with each and every interaction of theirs that's happening, we are the ones that are being able to monetize on top of that. We're currently, our ask currently is we're looking to raise 3 million on a 30 million FDV, where and our equity to token is going to be a 1-to-1 as well. The team itself is comprised of myself and 3 of my other co-founders, and all of us co-founders, we've all been working with each other in one capacity or the other over the course of the last 5 years. And as you can see, we come from both established organizations as well as startups as well. So that's a little bit about us, the vision, and what it is that we're doing.
And thank you so much, Saeed, for the pitch part. Now, as usual, we go to Q&A. Guys, feel free to leave all your questions in the chat or raise your hand. We got up to 10 minutes, so yeah, go ahead.
Thanks for your pitch. What are some of the most exciting use cases you've seen so far during your closed beta, and how do you plan to expand those as the community and product continue to grow?
Sure. So there's actually been a few. So like I was mentioning earlier, right? Fortunately for us, we're already because of the fact that we're already post revenue, the real use cases that we've had have been there's a couple of really cool creative ones, but ultimately the one that determines product market fit and whatnot is who's willing to put their money where their mouth is, right? So a lot of those are coming from the B2B segment. So customer service is a big one. Sales automation, marketing automation is another one. We can't go into the specifics around this, but healthcare is very, very big, right? As we all know, the healthcare system, there's a lot of there's a lot of broken systems. So I'll actually use this as a good example, right? So how many times have we all gone into your doctor's office, and every single time you have to go there at least a half hour before because you have to fill out the same repetitive information every single time. And God forbid, if you have to share your information from one doctor to another, there's, because of all kinds of compliance issues, right? That becomes an endeavor in and of itself. Well, there's no reason why you can't carry your own agentic AI solution and plug that into a system, and there's a handshake that happens between the two. So one of the projects that we're working on right now, and this is a big one, it's solving for that exact problem, right? To be able to utilize and build out these agentic solutions. And the Shiza developer tool is the tool that will allow people to be able to essentially plug and play using drag and drop mechanisms to be able to do so. So That's one of them. In due diligence, right, which was the initial thing that we had built out our first MVP in Shiza for. That was a very, very big one, right? The ability to be able to go out there, extract information from all kinds of, from your Google searches by utilizing multiple LLMs to be able to pull from there, extract that information, be able to pull that out. That was that's also another big one. So for us, where we're seeing the majority of our use cases coming in are in B2B applications. And then the next thing that we're going to be looking to do is to introduce Shiza Companion, which will be the consumer version of the application, which will allow individuals to be able to capture and monetize on these as well.
Thanks. Thank you so much. We've got some more questions. With the Shiza developer tool being a no-code solution, how do you see this empowering users who might not have technical expertise but still want to create and monetize their AI agents?
Sure. So they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So let's just quickly show you rather than me talk about this, right? So how easy could it be? So take, if you, whether you are or whether you're not a developer, it's as simple as developer, very simple. You drag and drop mechanism so that you're inside the Shiza developer right now, and I'm going to create a test intellect here. So in this instance, I'll select something as simple as a conversational chain here. All I have to do is select what kind of a chat model I need, pull up my conversational chain, select my chat model, give it some memory. Savant earlier was talking about the different memory mechanisms. This is something that we could pull from. Take the, let's say, QA chain here from here, and then I'll select my memory. And then once you've done that, we'll give it some buffer memory. Then it is as simple as connecting my memory to here, connecting my chat model to here, and now I have a chatbot that I can start having a conversation with. If I wanted to share this out and put it into some kind of an embedded app, then it's as simple as just going in here. And how do we want to do it? Do we want it in the form of a Python script that we want to pull it into, right? Just copy and paste this, and you'll be able to have your conversation with a real life bot. So in a matter of minutes, we've been able to do generally something that would have taken us days, if not weeks, to be able to put together. So this is a very, very sort of simple way of explaining how we're seeing the build out of these kinds of applications coming in, and how that's going to lead to this massive explosion and proliferation of agentic AI solutions.
Wow, that's so cool. Thank you. Yeah, another one. Interesting concept. I was going to ask the same. Yeah, it would be cool to allow people to automate workflows and create their agents. Then people could hire those agents and collect shared revenue.
That's exactly what our, I'm sure if the question hasn't been brought up already, the question will be brought up, right? Is why Web3? What's the Web3 aspect of this, right? You're talking to people who come from the Web2 world, that come from the traditional capital market side, and Web3. One of the criticisms of Web3, and a legitimate criticism of Web3 as well, has been, oh, you guys are a solution looking for a problem, right? So, you guys don't have a problem, but you guys have solutions. You're a solution looking for a problem. I agree with that. But the answer to that also is that AI is the problem that Web3 is the solution for, right? So the ability to be able to build out these decentralized mechanisms, and the ability to be able to create this future economy in which all of these agents are interacting with each other. And when you start to talk about being able to monetize on your agents, right? Being able to do these microtransactions, the Web3 rails are the solution to what that problem is going to be, and that's essentially the crux of our tokenomics and the utility of the Shiza token.
Yeah, thank you. Savant says exactly what he was thinking. What's Shiza's vision for the economic models around personalized sovereign agents?
Yeah, Savant, now you probably see why I started off the call by saying that you and I should be, we'll have a separate discussion around this. So, look, very simple, right? So take a look at like, for example, like what you guys are building out. There's going to be all of these microcosms that are going to be built that are solving for specific solutions, right? But you're going to need to have these rails that are going to be that in which people need to be able to monetize from. What we're looking to do is we're looking to create the mechanisms for the foundational rails for that, right? So think of it like, for example, like what MasterCard does today. Every single transaction, regardless of stores, regardless of product, regardless of anything that's happening, for every single transaction that's happening, they're providing those mechanisms. They've provided those rails, and for every single transaction that's occurring on top of that network, they're getting a piece of that for being able to facilitate that. Those facilitation components are essentially what are going to be part and parcel of the Shiza ecosystem. And what we're looking at is we're looking to partner up with those agentic solutions. Because remember, we're building a post-agentic ecosystem in preparation for that, but there's no post-agentic without the actual agentic component for it, right? So the agentic part is the part that we don't want to build ourselves. Instead, we're looking to partner up with folks like yourself who would be part and parcel of this ecosystem. And then what we're doing is we're going to bring that to the market.
Yeah. Thanks. You have to talk. That's for sure. Philip asks, any thoughts on how we are using AI to replace human interaction jobs more than technical or repetitive mindless tasks?
Look, I mean, I think my thoughts are actually quite candid. They're quite clear, and you know, they're unapologetic, which is that it's an inevitability. Anyone that says, like even Mark Cuban's dopey quote around, it's not the AI, you know, it's not the AI that's going to replace you. It's the person that knows the AI. No, absolutely not, right? Because the person, think about the kind of things that we're developing, right? We're developing things that are going to be so easy that a dummy like me could use these things to be able to do what it is that I need to do without actually having to understand the intricacies behind how to build that AI. So the reality is that AI is going to make things so much easier, and it's going to commoditize a lot of the things that we're doing, right? Especially this whole, that even people are like, well, AI can't become creative, right? That's not true. As a matter of fact, the first use cases, the first jobs to be replaced by AI are the quote unquote creative ones, right? Those are the first ones to go, right? People thought it was going to be backwards, where the blue collared manual laborious tasks are going to be the ones to go, but that's the opposite. Those are the last to go. Now they will also go, right? So for anyone who's sitting here thinking, okay, I'm safe, sorry to burst your bubble, but it's just a matter of time when that's going to happen, right? The moment we start to get to humanoid robotics and whatnot, right? Those will also be ones to go. We have to really fundamentally start rethinking the way that we've always thought about where value is derived. And historically speaking, we've always, from the dawn of civilization to where we are, to where we stand today, right? We've always been a labor-focused economy, and that's how we derive our value, whether it's, you know, manual labor, physical labor, intellectual labor, creative labor, right? The one consistency here is labor. So it's labor, labor, labor. That labor itself, I saw Morgan's comment. Investing in Said is the perfect hedge against losing my job. No, it's actually not the perfect hedge against losing your job, Morgan, because you're still investing in Said means that you're building the things that will replace jobs. But investing in Said, what that means is that you'll have a source of revenue coming in, which will be owned by you and not any of these centralized entities that are already there, right? So we're looking at a future where we have, you know, humanity is at a crossroads right now. We're at a fork. And it's, do we go down the route of dystopia, right? Which is with a lot of where these centralized agentic solutions will lead us towards. Or I don't want to use the word utopia because I don't believe in utopia, but a much better version of where humanity needs to go, right? So labor is absolutely going to be replaced, but the way we're deriving our labor is on the output. What we're saying is that we need to go back and utilizing a first principles approach, focus on not the output, which is the labor, but the input, which is the human intellect, the human experience. And what we're saying is that the human experience will end up becoming the most valuable asset in this future economy. And I'll finish off by saying this, and a lot of people laugh when I say this, but I'm not trying to be comical or funny or humorous, right? This is the absolute truth, which is that if you think about what artificial intelligence, everyone is freaking out, oh, artificial intelligence, well, you can't really, you can't replicate it. Artificial intelligence, right? Intelligence, to replicate that artificial intelligence, that's actually easy. That's very, very easy to do. You know what's not so easy to do? It's what I call genuine stupidity. And genuine stupidity is novel to humans and humans only, right? And that genuine stupidity is essentially, it's the kind of things that logic can't dictate. Those are the kind of things that add to the human element. This is the reason why all these innovations that come in, this is the reason why they do it. For any entrepreneur that's on this meeting here, they can appreciate genuine stupidity, because we're only called geniuses and visionaries after we've proven success. But the path to get towards that success, that is the genuine stupidity that people continuously need to do, right? Continue to go down there, do the things that people don't think you can do. Machines don't have the ability to be able to do those things, right? You can train intelligence, you cannot train stupidity. And stupidity ultimately is what leads to our innovation, our genius. And what we're saying is that is the human experience. That's the most valuable asset. That's what you need to be able to capture, to own, and to be able to monetize on. And that is the future. And that's what we're building with Shiza.
Obviously, thank you so much for that maybe speech. It was so interesting to listen to. So I lost keep track of time. So yeah, thank you so much for being on this call. Appreciate all the comments of you guys that you posted. It was kind of nice conversation today. And yeah, if you want to be our next guest, just feel free to pitch on our calls. Just feel free to fill the form for participation, which is right now in the chat. And also there's a feedback form. And yeah, it was a fun one, great pitches. Totally agree, guys. Thank you so much for being here. See you in 2 days. Yeah, cheers. Thank you so much, Malika, by the way.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.